Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Wrestle Watch podcast, your home for free agency discussions in the world of professional wrestling. I am Ryan.
I am Doug,
How are
and
you doing today?
I'm okay. I'm my wife and daughter are out of town,
Oh,
so I have the house to myself.
oh,
So at first I was thinking, well, maybe I'll go out and do something fun, but I decided I'm gonna just stay in and clean out the basement and
okay.
I'm just gonna be productive instead because it's rainy outside and it's not really nice, so I feel like just staying in.
Do you have, do you think that you're gonna find any hidden treasures while there?
I'll be honest, I have a lot of, here's the thing. I am someone who does not collect anything.
Uh-huh.
I'm not a collector.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of that. But I do just like get a lot of collectibles that I just forget about.
Yeah.
Where like, and it could be like wrestling stuff too. It's like, I've signed 8x10s that wrestlers just end up giving to me because hey man, maybe did like a screen I did like a selfie with them,
Yeah.
and then they just give me the 8x10, but I'm not going to keep the 8x10 because I don't care,
Yeah.
and I'll just stumble across them every now and then in the basement, which would be fun. I have like I have a lot of like signed video game memorabilia, oddly enough.
Uh-huh.
Like I have like a Chrono Trigger that's signed by like the people who did the music.
Mhm.
uh I don't remember their names. I have a signed Akira Yamaoka album, who did like the Silent Hill music,
Okay.
and just I just get these things like at random things, and I just forget about them, which is probably not the best, but whatever.
Yeah, that's like I have a, I just, somebody just gave me a signed Taylor Swift CD.
It'll it'll just be around, I'm sure,
Just
right?
I just have it. I don't
Yeah,
know what I'll ever do with it, but I have it.
yeah.
I also have some CM Punk memorabilia if anybody wants to buy that.
I
Um,
imagine the Taylor stuff will probably go for a decent amount if you really
sure.
wanted to.
Oh, I'm sure. Like I have from my line of work, I have a lot of stuff that is random famous people stuff.
Yeah. And I imagine it's also like one of those things where it's supply and demand, in the sense that, there's certain acts that will just sign tons and tons of stuff and it's very easy to get their stuff, and then others that maybe don't sign as much.
Well, I would say that also, like, as a musician continues in the industry more and more, they hate more and more doing any kind of fan interaction. And the biggest reason why is because of Punishers that just they just like trauma dump like their entire life story onto them. You know,
Hmm.
like they're just like, oh yeah, your music, it's the greatest thing in the world. And, you're like, oh yeah, well thanks for saying that. Yeah, I really appreciate it. And then they're like, yeah, it got me through my cancer. You're
Yeah.
like, I can't be mad at you because like you had cancer, but like at the same time like that's a lot to just
Yeah. It's just
throw
you're
on
just
somebody you just met.
throwing on emotional baggage
Yeah.
like nonsense. I'm sure it's like
So
emotionally exhausting.
yeah, and that's why like when I meet quote unquote famous people, celebrities, I and I would recommend this to other people. Don't say anything about their work. Like you can say a broad comment about their work, but don't say anything personal about yourself.
I don't know. I'm trying to think any of like I here's the other thing. I'm not someone who often does like meet and greets for anything.
Yeah.
And it's like the only times that I've done it recently are for like it was like a couple New Japan wrestlers at like a New Japan meet and greet, but yeah, they didn't speak English anyway.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's your
So I
problem. Yeah.
so I was just like, "Hey,
Hey.
how you
Uh,
doing?"
yeah, that's like when I went to Riot Cabaret, Scotty Tuhati was on the show, and he did like a little photo thing afterwards. I got a photo with him because like why not?
Did you tell him he helped you through your cancer?
No, I didn't. I told him about every single one of my other friends had cancer while I was a child, because I was at children's hospital, and I his worm cured everybody's cancer. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, him doing the worm. It wasn't Rikishi dancing. It was him doing the worm. Um, yeah, no, no, I met him and I was just like, hey, yeah, like thanks, so much for coming out and like I appreciate your words that you said about, like wrestling industry and stuff and it's really cool to see you here. And he was like, you're not from here. Because we were in London, and I was like, no, 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 I came from Maryland, from Baltimore, and like he's like turns to his kid, and he's like, this guy's from Baltimore. What's going on here? Like, and they just like like it becomes like
it's
a
like he.
becomes a conversation that's not about him being a famous person or about the reason why we're meeting. It becomes a conversation between two people just having fun. Like I mentioned before, my Mark Briscoe story, where it was just like he tried to give me his flight details because I grew up around where he grew up. And he was just like, oh, you're one of the boys then, essentially, right? Like, that is like, treat a famous person like they're a normal person. And you're going to have a far better experience, and they're going to have a far better experience. That's my hot tips.
That's a good one
Um,
to go with.
and if there is anything that I think will happen in Saudi Arabia in 2027, it is a lack of meet and greets.
Well,
I
I
don't.
mean,
I
they
don't know.
might meet a couple crown princes and
Mm-hmm.
things like that, but
Yes.
they
Yeah. Go
they
ahead.
are they are encouraging. Okay, so obviously we're talking about the news that just came out that 2027 WrestleMania will be in Saudi Arabia,
Yeah.
and they were encouraging fans to go to take the trip to Saudi Arabia.
It would potentially be cheaper to fly to Saudi Arabia and buy a ticket than it would be to go to Vegas for an
I bet
American.
it. I bet it would be.
Yeah.
I bet it would be considerably cheaper
Yeah.
because I'm sure the tickets. All right, I remember the first Saudi show. The tickets were like ridiculously cheap. It was like
Yeah.
three bucks.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not that anymore, but I'm sure they're not. They're bought shows.
Well,
Those
yeah.
bought.
It's. I think it's also. It's not just that they're bought shows. It's the difference between a show that was purchased by somebody, like some government entity, some tourist bureau, anything of that sort, that ilk. Like, like I'm sure some partner in Paris or the French government's tourism bureau or something like that helped pay for site fees regarding the Leon show last year and the Paris show this year for WWE. I'm sure that happened.
Yeah.
We know that even with AEW, that they do get they usually what they usually do is doing the film and television production tax credit. They don't normally get tourist bureau money, but they still get some kind of tax credit out of it. Um, in both of those scenarios, the ticket prices have not changed from the normal, right? So like
Right.
WWE's ticket prices are pretty consistent regardless of if they're in a city that is paying them a lot of money or not, right?
Correct.
AEW's ticket prices, it's like like TV show is here, pay-per-view is here. It's not like a lot more expensive, but it's like, in the same range of tickets no matter where their show is, right? For some reason with Saudi, it's not like that. And I think the reason why is because they're trying to please who is paying for it in that scenario, whereas the other scenarios, I don't think that WWE cares about pleasing the Tourist Bureau of Las Vegas.
Well, and I think this kind of speaks to what you're saying. Like the Clash in Paris show, WWE, I assume I'm sure they were the ones who were deciding ticket prices and things like that, even if they, as you said, they got municipality money for that. But the Saudi show, at least the way I've understood it, it feels like they're yielding a lot more control on these shows, and it's more or less
Yes.
Saudi's just, you know, taking care of everything other than just bringing the talent. WWE just brings people, they put the shows on, but yeah, I imagine WWE has
I would
little to no say on ticket price, and they probably don't even get anything from. It's probably a situation where you get the money, this flat fee, and we get everything else.
well in the music world at least, the way it would work is that the artist does have some they do like the artist booking agent really is the one that has power in trying to set the ticket price. So like in this scenario, it is still that WWE is the promoter of the show, in which case they are setting the ticket prices for these markets. It just so happens that usually they're getting a kickback also from the people. So it's like it makes it sound like, you know, Las Vegas isn't promoting WrestleMania. WWE is promoting WrestleMania, so WWE is setting the ticket price. With the
Right.
Saudi shows, it feels like, based off of everything we've heard so far for this Saudi Mania, it feels much more like the Saudis are producing the show.
Yeah.
Right? Like they are starting to request talent for it. That's what both Dave Meltzer and Sean Ross Sapp have reported. They've started to request talent. There is a rumor going out there amongst the people because our favorite agent, was his name, Nick LaPocolo, he threw out the number even, and it is hundreds of millions of dollars that allegedly the Saudis are willing to pay for The Rock to wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
It is like more money than I think they get for SmackDown in a year. Like,
Yeah.
it is ridiculous amounts of money that are being rumored right now. And this is like, okay, when I say rumored, I mean this person is somebody that might actually know. He has had a weird track record because he's the guy that gets in arguments with AEW fans online on Twitter when he's sitting front row for a WWE show. That's him, that guy.
Yeah.
But he might actually know how much money they're offering for The Rock, and like, it doesn't shock, that number didn't shock me. And,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it wouldn't stun me if we're talking if this because okay, most Saudi shows, according to Thurston, usually we're looking at around $50 million a year per show,
yeah,
which is alone an absurd number.
yes,
I mean, so a lot of the speculation I've seen with people seems to be putting this because I think they said the Royal Rumble's probably going to be 100 million.
yeah. And also for reference, when we're talking about comparing it to like what the tourist bureaus kind of do for these kinds of things, it is more like tens of millions and like a few of tens of millions usually for like Las Vegas or stuff like that. Like,
Mhm.
so when we're saying it's like 50 million for Royal Rumble, that is a lot of money.
Yeah. So then this Royal Rumble's 100. They're saying 100 million.
Yeah, yeah,
So, and if and there was rumors that this could potentially be double that. So we
yeah,
could be looking at $200 million for this show.
yeah.
So it's crazy amounts of money for sure. But it's just obviously it's going to be an interesting thing to see like who's going to go to this show in terms of will fans travel? I I don't know. I mean,
I wouldn't.
no,
Like,
no, absolutely
if
not.
I'm a WWE fan, if like I'm a diehard WWE fan, you know, I'm if I'm the kind of guy that always goes to Mania, you know, that kind of guy.
Mhm.
Do I fly to Saudi Arabia for WrestleMania?
If you're a guy, first of all,
If I'm a man,
okay,
that's the first part of the question. Like, I'm not
yeah,
bringing like, okay, yeah. Let's full bore this scenario. Let's say that we are a family of four, a classic American nuclear family. Let's call ourselves white in the scenario just to make it the most easy for us to go to Saudi Arabia. uh, I would probably be, if I were to go, it would have to be me solo, right?
I mean, listen, the talent themselves have had history of issues there, obviously with that one plane situation,
Well, also
and
the first show they wouldn't allow women on the card.
yeah, so yeah, I mean, okay, will the green shirt guy be there? That's
I am of the belief, and I believe this has been reported before, is that people like Green Shirt Guy get comp tickets. I
you
believe
think he'll go though?
I think he would go. Yeah, like
I think he would go too.
If he's getting a comp ticket, he's gonna go.
I think he'd go too.
I think, you know, Trinidad guy, he'll go if you give him a ticket. Brock
Yeah,
Lesnar guy, the Chicago ref guy.
yeah,
If they give them tickets, they'll go. But like, I think that like that's like the borderline of like guaranteed like why they would go is because it's a free ticket. Like otherwise,
Frank the
it's like,
Clown, would Frank the Clown go?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But like
Yeah.
if you're thinking like the next few rows back people, you know,
Hmm.
I would be like, am I really gonna fly to Saudi Arabia to WrestleMania? Like I don't know. Also, as we see in the chat from TC, he has a few questions and thoughts here that I want to get into. There's a universe where Mania is just on a loop between Vegas and Saudi going forward. Yes, I think that is the. I do not think that's a far fetched thing.
No, I
Already.
don't either.
Because we've already kind of seen that pattern in the U.S. to start with, right? So in the U.S., they already pulled. So they said that Mania was gonna go to Minneapolis, and then they like were like, no, actually, we're gonna take it to Vegas, right?
Yep.
You're gonna get a 2 night SummerSlam though. It's also not going to be the first time we do that. Sorry, we're going to go to MetLife instead first. You know, it's like, okay, so you've already pulled the rug out under Minneapolis, right? Then they announced Mania for New Orleans next year.
Mhm.
And then after they announced it, pulled it back and said, no, actually, we're going to go to Vegas. We're going to do NOLA some other year. Next year, though, we're going to do Money in the Bank in New Orleans, right? The funny thing about Money in the Bank in New Orleans, if you didn't notice, is they're running it at the basketball stadium. I mean basketball arena, right?
Hmm.
Do you feel like Money in the Bank has had upward momentum of prestige as a
Well, I
pay
mean,
per view?
it's already been the pay-per-view where they tried to put it in a giant stadium and then they had to pull back.
Yes. So that is where what I was thinking about was I was like, well, you've tried to push this as the next like the new big four at
Hmm.
pay per view. Um, so instead of trying it again in New Orleans at Superdome, what they're doing instead is putting it in the smallest NBA arena, and that is the make good on losing Mania next year. And they said, okay, but New Orleans, you're promising Mania in the future. Don't worry about it. Indianapolis, they ran Royal Rumble there this year, right?
Hmm.
They said this is part of an agreement with Indianapolis where we're going to run in the coming years SummerSlam and WrestleMania. So now we have 3 other cities in the US that have been promised WrestleMania. And they're going to Saudi Arabia in the meantime and going back to Vegas. I think that is very possible that none of those cities ever get WrestleMania.
No, I think, and then obviously you heard Ari Emanuel's comments obviously recently on the ticket prices.
Was that Ari or was that Mark Shapiro? I think we
Sorry, I
had
meant
both
no,
of
I
them.
meant I thought it was Ari Emanuel, but it could be. I thought I read it was Ari Emanuel. I didn't see the clip, but I did read the comments. Either way, it was someone in the
Are you
TKO
thinking about
upper.
the thing about like the Vince part?
Yeah.
That was Mark Shapiro, yeah.
Okay, it's March. Yeah, where he basically said that you know Vince McMahon priced these tickets so families can come. That's a horrible idea. We're pricing this so that we can maximize profits.
Yeah.
And I think that that mentality is going to carry over into, as you said, as where they're choosing to go to these venues. If they're going to make the most money just doing Saudi, Vegas, Saudi, Vegas, Saudi, Vegas, I could see them totally doing that. They're not necessarily caring about, you know, whether or not they can attract more people to come who maybe never had that opportunity. That's not what this company is anymore.
Yeah. I think that's been a very interesting thing to me is because um it's kind of it's it makes it sound like it's a compliment to Vince, but it's not really. Um it's saying that Vince didn't have business acumen. That's what
Right.
he's trying to say. But the funny thing is that the reason why Vince did it like that was because his goal with how he was pricing tickets and running shows. So what we referenced before, I think we might have been off air when we referenced it about the house shows. That WWE is
Yes.
doing less house shows, right? Almost no
Right.
house shows. They only really do house shows in foreign markets or holiday tour.
Yeah.
And holiday tour is usually just Northeast, LA, Chicago. and Florida. That's it usually, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you do Baltimore, Chicago, Orlando, LA, New York, Philly. That's it. You know, like that's your house shows every year, right?
Yeah. Right.
So like a city like New York gets like 2 or 3 TV tapings and the house show. Baltimore gets a TV taping and a house show. Chicago gets 2 or 3 in house show. Like it's like that's what it is because they're bigger markets, right? So it makes
Mm-hmm.
sense to try to throw in one extra one, but it's holiday tour, you know. So it's not not crazy to do that, and it's not making everybody upset of your talent as much because it's like a built-in thing that everybody knows about. Um, but Vince's strategy was we're gonna do house shows all year round, every market possible, right? So we have people. I've seen some comments about like AEW Collision is going to be from Huntington, West Virginia, coming up. Do you know Huntington, West Virginia at all? Have you heard of this place?
No, but it's also in West Virginia, and so I think that's enough that I need to know.
Okay, so Huntington, West Virginia. So on the Wednesday before they're doing Pittsburgh. So that's kind of what's going on with that part of it. Why they're like, they're making a path, right? Huntington, West Virginia has a metro population of 368,000 people. It is the 152nd biggest metro in the country. It is around the border between West Virginia and Kentucky, like West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, like that little corner there. It is very far from Pittsburgh. It's very far from anything. It's not near DC. It's not near Pittsburgh. It's just out there in the middle of nowhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is actually the kind of place that Vince was running for house shows. You know,
Right.
and so
So,
so Vince's strategy was what we're gonna do is hit house shows in markets to make sure that we are smothering the territory.
mhm.
So the first strategy was we're going to counter program essentially or book shows in other people's territories, and then they're going to either die or sell to us, right? And then once they killed that territory, they didn't really fully like give them what they wanted. They were just like, okay, yeah, we're gonna give you house shows now. You know, you're not getting the TV. TV is not what you're getting. You're getting house shows. That happened in the South a lot too when they bought WCW.
Mhm.
Um, and that was the way to make sure that no promotion ever got big enough to actually challenge WWE. Was because if you are running in Biloxi, Mississippi, a house show where the tickets are $20 and you can take a family of 4, well, why would you go to see Ring of Honor or whatever like small time promotion Mid South version 5? Why would you go to that show when you're not getting the best talent for the same price when you can go to our show and you're going to see Batista wrestle on a house. You're going to see John Cena wrestle, Like
Right.
that was Vince's strategy. So it was coming from a place of monopolization rather than a place of like altruism. And TKO's strategy is no, we have a lot of debt. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to milk this as much as we can. We're not gonna flood the market with shows on the house show level. We're gonna flood the market with every show is the biggest show ever, and so now you have to pay a lot of money to go to the show. That
And
is the
they're only good,
TKO.
and they're gonna ignore those smaller markets.
Yes, and they are taking part of the strategy from Vince about how do you kill a territory. It's running a show in their market,
Mhm.
but like it's not about the place now. It's about the time and date. So they're trying to counter program other promotions' big shows. Like I wouldn't be surprised if WWE is like, yeah, so we're gonna try to do a Japan tour during Wrestle Kingdom some year. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they ever try to do that. Or if like for the CMLL anniversary show, we're gonna do a show over across the way at the CDMX arena. You know, like I wouldn't be surprised that that could happen in the future. That's kind of the thing that they would do now. I think the
Yeah.
TKO strategy.
And and understand the idea that well maybe AEW is trying to capture that market that WWE is seemingly about to abandon
Yeah.
as they leave house, and I guess to me, I see that strategy. And maybe it will work to an extent, but I also think that AEW just needs to maybe accept that. Maybe I don't want to say maybe everyone does need to just abandon these smaller markets, but I mean, we'll see how this show does. But I'm sure I haven't looked at the ticket map on this one, but I'm sure it's not good. A collision in West Virginia cannot be good.
Well, let me pull it up quickly
Like, there's
'cause
no way. Is it? I'm gonna guess. I haven't looked at this. If you're pulling it up right now, if you could find it,
yeah, I have it.
let me.
I have it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess it's under 1,000.
No.
Really?
No.
What's it at?
It is 2 weeks away and it's at 1,200.
Okay.
Which okay, so like including the residencies, the year-to-date average for Collision is 2,000.
Yeah.
So like if you're already baked in, like I mean, yeah, that's baking in a lot of like 1,000s from Chicago and Philly and that solo Cincinnati taping,
Hmm.
1,000, 2,000 there. But still, like that's essentially, and this is 2 weeks away. The movement seems like it's getting towards 2,000 tickets. Um, like, look, like you could sell 1,000 tickets in Philly for those people, or you could sell 2,000 in middle nowhere West Virginia. Like, I think that like if I'm AEW, my strategy would be um, Dynamite in major cities, Collision in minor city, on the way to the next major city for Dynamite. Like, don't do collisions in a major city necessarily. Like,
Dynamite in Chicago, Collision in Peoria.
yeah, or like Dynamite, yeah, or yeah, like something like that. Yeah, exactly. Like, kind of do it like this is like the suburbs show, or this is the middle of nowhere in between show. Like Bloomington, Illinois, normal.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that is like, oh yeah, and then next week's Dynamite is in St. Louis.
Hmm.
And then you do Independence. No, you do Columbia, Missouri, and then your next Dynamite is Kansas City. Something like that. Tulsa is your next Collision, and then you do Oklahoma City.
Hmm.
Like
So you're building to the big city,
yeah,
essentially.
yeah,
Collision, because I think a lot of people in their minds, because it's taped after, they have this idea that the Collision is sort of like the epilogue to Dynamite.
it sometimes is, and I think
Yeah.
that it's the case for that when Collision is a double taping,
Hmm.
or a taped on the Thursday kind of thing, because then it's like we have all the talent in the same building, so we might as well continue the story, guaranteed, because we can, because everybody's here.
Yeah. So, and I think that touches on that, because I think that's a good point, because the idea that this is the Collision is like a bonus Dynamite,
Yeah.
or a post Dynamite, whereas if it's a pre Dynamite, it's like, hey, this is what's happening before Wednesday. This is a little taste of what you're getting, as opposed to like, this is the postscript.
Yeah.
I don't know why like the psychology of it doesn't make, I don't know it exactly, but it just feels like that would be a little bit more hyped. It's
Yeah,
like, hey,
I just feel like that like Collision as a show being on a Saturday, when that like for TV audience it might not get the most people, but for a small town, if you're running it in a small town, it's probably the best day to run it.
yeah.
So like that's my feeling on it. Like I also see like an argument for like that's the show you do your residencies on, is Collision on Saturdays, rather than doing it for Dynamite ever
I think
again.
it also makes sense, because those smaller towns, since the population density is not there, people are probably traveling from
Yes.
farther away,
Yeah.
and so having a Saturday, they have more time to do that
Exactly.
typically.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah, that's another thought that was in my head with that. Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's let me see if TC had any other thoughts about the Mania stuff. Yeah, WWE has a new HQ in Saudi Arabia, which I think makes logical sense for them, given that they're going to have 3 shows in Saudi Arabia next year. Like, just as like business development too, like it's on the other side of the world. It makes
Let,
sense.
can I just throw one more thing out there on this before we move on?
Yeah, go ahead.
So obviously, as we said before, we all know TKO has a lot of debt.
Yes. Oh yeah,
Do you think
yeah, go
do
ahead.
we think do we think that this is also a precursor to eventually TKO selling WWE to the Saudis?
Possibly. I mean, Zuffa, their boxing co-promotion between TKO and the Saudis, just had their first fight last night at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. So they already do have a full-on joint business venture.
Mhm.
So they already it's not just like a Saudis pay TKO some money to run the show. They have something that they have both mutually invested in for So I don't think that that is far fetched. No, I don't think that's far fetched. Something that's interesting with it to me also is the reaction that we've seen so far from fans about it. Where at the Worlds Collide show last night it was in Vegas at one of like the smaller casino arenas.
Mhm.
Um, they ran a package for Saudi Mania. And remember that this is Vegas, right? So this is the town that's getting Mania twice in a row and probably is going to have it forever, right?
Right.
They started chanting loudly, "You sold out." And it was audible on the stream. Like they have a problem now, WWE does. Like this isn't just like, oh yeah, some bad faithers or fed bad people online or saying screw the Fed, this is Saudi money, blood money, all this kind of stuff, go suck a blood covered what kind of people comments, right? It's not
Right.
people that WWE could discount because they don't like WWE for many other reasons. It is they're paying customers that went to a show in Vegas.
Well, here's what I will say. I get that, and I'm not surprised, but I also feel like that's probably the worst it's going to be. And then there's going to be normalized, and people are going to care less and less, just like how they did about the Saudi shows. Maybe that's a little pessimistic on my part, but I think that ultimately, uh, they'll wear them down and they'll give up. So,
It's possible. I could see. We'll see what happens Monday for Raw
mhm.
if they show the video again. I think that they're not going to make the same mistake, quote unquote, of having the audio on.
Yeah, yeah, they're not doing that again.
Yeah. But like I'm interested in seeing where that goes. And something else that I'm interested in seeing where it goes is AJ Styles. So we talked about him
Yes.
a little bit last week. The update this week is that he posted on his Instagram an hourglass with the phenomenal logo on it. Time ticking away there. It is. It's speculated which way it is. Is it retirement? Is it leaving WWE? It was then reported by Fightful that his contract is up in February. So this was the contract that he re-signed this past year during the summer. It was reported that AJ's contract was supposed to expire. They signed a new deal. The length of the deal is only through February.
Mhm.
We discussed that part last week a little bit. But then, yeah,
Yes.
the new thing was that he was trotted out during a commercial break for a promo on Raw. So on the international feed or the ad-free feed on Netflix, people did see this. On the ad feed on Netflix, people didn't see this, and it was him talking about everybody else is gone now from him. It sounds like somebody backstage doesn't want me here. This was echoing a comment that his son made on his Instagram account saying, yeah, it sounds like somebody doesn't want him there.
Yeah.
Was told to get deleted, I'm presuming. Um, so it kind of had like this air to me, at least, that somebody backstage told him, "Hey, you got to go out there and fill some time. Also, can you do something about the bad vibes from that Instagram post?" Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, shoot it into a work, please.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think that this changes anything about the possibility and probabilities of him leaving WWE. So I'll throw it to you now with this. Do you think that in February we're going to be talking about AJ Styles retiring or AJ Styles signing somewhere else?
So here's where I'm at. I think that if AJ, and this is my feelings, just my gut feeling with AJ, I think if he was genuinely retiring in 5 months from now, it's like we would know this. I mean, I think he wouldn't be hinting at never wrestling again. He would make his career. I think he would make his retirement a big deal. So no, I don't think he's retiring. I don't think he's done. So to me, and I do think that maybe he is up in the air about what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Maybe he's filling out the options. And for that, as we get closer, I think, and we don't hear anything, I think it's more likely that maybe he will go. That's more an option. So I am saying it's before we had him at remote.
Yeah.
I think it's unlikely.
Yeah.
I think I'd move him up a tier to the unlikely tier, but that doesn't necessarily mean that also, Saudi Arabia is not going to throw, a whole bunch of money at him for, show up at Saudi Mania in 2027. So if you stick around another 18 months or whatever it'd be.
Yeah.
So I think, I'm not saying, so I don't know where it'll go exactly, but my gut is that it's a little bit more likely that he would jump now.
Okay. I agree with that assessment. I would have possibly even put him up as a possible jump rather than just unlikely. But I said it last week with WWE potential free agents right now. I'm not putting them above toss up. Like it is, unless there is something that like really points in that direction. Until it like you get up to the door, I'm not doing that yet. Just like it just doesn't feel right anymore. The winds of the market don't feel like they're pointing that direction much anymore. So
well,
go ahead.
Because I feel like there's a couple things happening. One, I think that WWE is getting a lot more money now, so maybe they're going to be willing to open up on labor a little bit more. And AEW is being a lot more careful about who they bring in from WWE.
So I would respond to that with a point that you kind of already made,
Okay.
which is you pointed out that TKO has a lot of debt.
They do.
So why are they doing all these deals on shows and trying to milk their ticket sales? It's because they have a lot of debt. So I think that this is their talking about what we were talking about before about the business side of things. I think that TKO's business strategy is to try to maximize the amount of money they're getting, or I can't remember the term that they used for it, Shabir used for it, but it was like essentially like the amount of money they make per ticket. They want to maximize that because UFC has a higher margin of profit right now per ticket than WWE does, and they want to maximize that. They don't care about how many tickets they sell. They want to make sure that they're maximizing each ticket that they sell. And I think that's something that Bryan Danielson referenced in his interviews that he did promoting AEW in Australia, where he said that AEW's percentage of revenue that is going to contracts is in the 40 to 50% range, which is pretty on par with sports leagues like NFL, NBA, etc. That is kind of the range that those leagues pay out to the players of the revenue for revenue sharing. WWE does not get anywhere close to that.
Nope.
And I don't think that changes with Saudi money. I think it gets worse. The percentage gets worse.
I want to clarify. I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate with this on like, could they, I would say
they have the ability now.
Yeah.
But I don't think that
especially
is going to mean much.
Right, but especially as they're continuing to try to mess with AEW, like if they think that could be the thing, they might, especially with certain people.
Yeah,
I
like
think
AJ Styles is one of those guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if that they did try to throw some money, like be like, hey, so all we need is for you to stay through April 2027.
Listen, they could pay him and then like cut like 4 people from Evolve, and then it'd be fine.
Yeah. Um,
Like,
yeah, so I think that unlikely is a fair enough assessment for AJ right now.
mhm.
And how about we just go through the updated Pro Wrestling Free Agency tracker now? I
Mhm.
have the document in front of me. There are some changes to it, so we can chat about those as we go along. This is as of yesterday, the updated Pro Wrestling Free Agency tracker. We have in certain nobody still.
Nobody's certain. Yep. Yeah. Not like I said. I'm not surprised. Like we're at this point now where like things are solidified or
Yes.
solidifying, and you're not seeing a lot of bouncing around.
In likely, we have Ninja Mac, Zozaya, Joe Hendry, Mike DeVicchio, Adam Priest. Those are the ones from last week. Now we have Michael Oku moved up from toss up to likely. The reason for this is that he is getting a plush flight. He had a plush flight to Philadelphia to get a unified title challenge against Okada, which feels like it is a little bit more than what was going on before. I think somebody in asked SRS in one of those Fightful SRS things about if he is signed to AEW, or he said like, I think the phrase was like, is he all elite? And Sean's response was a little bit flippant. He was like, I'm sure that he could tell people even if he isn't.
Yeah. It was a weird wording that I didn't even really understand what he was trying to say with that. But yeah, based off of that alone, you know, I think it's okay because a lot of people were talking about like, oh, he's on the Forbidden Door card. It's like that
Yeah.
doesn't really mean anything. It's Rev Pro and they're in the UK. It's like that's whatever. I had Isla Dawn were wrestling
Yeah,
on their
sure.
shows,
Sure.
so that does to me that didn't mean anything. But I do agree that it was something that the fact that they flew him out to Philly. Uh,
Just for a TV show match, which I mean, and also on top of it, it is a match against Okada for the unified title.
yeah,
So also my counter to the like the usage in the UK is that on the London pay-per-views proper, it's been him and Grado, and that's it.
hmm
So I think that that is still something to be said. Like the TV tapings, there's been other people, like you said, Isla Dawn. But like on the pay-per-views proper, they had the greatest meme of all time, Grado, and then Michael Oku.
yeah,
So that's something. I think that's something.
I,
Uh,
I agree.
so yeah, we've moved him up to the likely tier due to all this speculation. We will see if he drops down again. Like this is like his second time in likely at this point, right?
Yeah,
It was
no,
around this time last year. Yeah,
he jumps around.
yeah. Probable. We have Dakota Kai and Danhausen. No changes there.
No, the
Yeah,
only
go
thing
ahead.
I saw that happened was Dakota Kai was just once again streaming and just saying, "Oh, thanks for missing me" and stuff like that. Like nothing new.
Toss up is Rio, the British Rio. Possible we have Private Party Sari, Chris Jericho, Priscilla Kelly, and Shayna Baszler. No changes there.
Tony Khan did just say that he hopes to have Chris Jericho back soon.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
Yeah,
Um, I, I,
I'm.
I think that his strategy that he had with um, Mariah May, Blake Monroe is the correct strategy in this scenario. Chris Jericho already put somebody over on the way
Yeah,
out. We don't need to do anything more on TV if he's gonna leave, right?
I agree.
Shayna Baszler, I think that's still possible. That this is more fantasy booking. I still think it's possible that this Death Riders thing with Danny Garcia is leading in the direction of them kicking Mox out and maybe reformatting the group. And Shayna Baszler is somebody that I would look at, but that's more fantasy booking rather than it is based off of sourcing.
Yeah, we'll see where that goes.
Unlikely, we have Gabe Kidd, Shinsuke Nakamura, Bailey, Bozilla,
Mm,
Mir Yamashita, and now AJ Styles.
Yep.
And then down in remote, we have an addition Karrion Kross, Persephone, Leon Slater, Saraya, The Miz, Isla Dawn, Baki Ito, Masha Slamovich, and Dragon Lee. So the updates here, just to make people aware, we formerly had Sami Zayn in this tier. He has been removed for low confidence. His contract should have expired back in February when Kevin Owens's did. Haven't had any word since then. He has won the United States Championship since then as well. So low confidence is the way that we're phrasing it right now because we don't have any confirmation that it is a confirmed stay. Saraya, we did have a discussion about Saraya, but we weren't sure about her actually going somewhere, and it's not just more talk from her. And then Dragon Lee is the new one. Do you have comments and thoughts on those, Doug?
So Saraya, I think is, yeah, I think it's possible that she goes back. But I think okay. Do you think that AJ Lee coming back makes it more or less likely or not like or no difference at all whether she goes back?
I think that it makes it more likely, but I think that it's still not very likely. So the
Mm-hmm.
reasoning why is it shows that WWE is trying to milk now I guess that's Divas title era nostalgia with the top brass of that era. So like the Bella Twins and AJ Lee and Saraya Page, you know.
I mean, WWE is a nostalgia company at this
yeah,
point.
but like
Yeah.
like they hadn't gotten to that era of nostalgia yet.
Yeah.
So they've been milking the Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression Era nostalgia for a while. They haven't gotten to 2010 yet, and now this is like I think their first foray into nostalgia baiting for that era. So that makes Paige Saraya a little bit more likely. However, still don't know if they're going to medically clear her. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
I think
No,
that
I
that's
agree.
her biggest hurdle. Because AEW, I'm not going to say that their medical staff are a lot more likely to overlook medical issues, but their medical staff has a different idea of how big of an issue medical issues are, right? Or different interpretation sometimes. Like
Yeah.
Shibata, for example. Shibata, New Japan won't let him wrestle a real match. AEW is like, have fun.
Yeah.
So with Saraya, I think that that's the biggest hurdle for her. So that's why I think remote is still fine for her. How about Dragon Lee? Do you have any thoughts about Dragon Lee?
So Dragon Lee, obviously, I feel like it's pretty clear. I mean, unless something else happens, like the way Dragon Lee left AEW
Mm-hmm.
was, notoriously sketchy.
Yeah. So for background for people about how he left AEW or AAA at the time, really too.
Yeah.
He was set for it was him and Dralistico, correct? Where AAA, they were challenging FTR for the AAA Tag Championships. The show was in Mexico, and they had WWE sent a camera guy to the show to film something. And Dax texts Tony Khan, and he's like, "Something is weird here. Something's up." I think they also originally had like Roosh in the match instead of Dragon
Yeah,
Lee.
it was supposed to be Roosh, and then they cycled in Dragon Lee
Yeah, they
instead.
cycled in Dragon Lee at the last minute, and then there was this camera guy from WWE there, and Dax was like, "Tony, something's off. Tony, something's off." And lo and behold, something was off. Um, they were planning to lose the match anyway, give the titles back to AAA, put it to guys that AEW was chill with as well, for that matter. Dragon Lee they were chill with as well, so that's why that didn't raise too many alarm bells, other than the fact of like, why is Roosh not wrestling this match? And then after the match, Dragon Lee gets the mic. He announces he signed with WWE and they're vacating the titles they just won. Yeah, that is a huge hurdle for him
Yeah.
getting back. So go back to what you were saying, Doug. There.
Yeah. So based off of that, so we need to look at like if he were to leave, where would he go? So it's like I don't think he's ever going back to AEW. I think that yeah, that's a real burned bridge.
Yeah, he would have to
Um,
really do a lot of work to reconstruct that bridge, and maybe like other guys in LFI seem to be very well liked by AEW by Tony Khan enough. Like
mhm.
they, they have enough problems, and they keep letting them come back.
Yeah,
They're giving them
to keep trying with Roosh, to keep
yeah,
trying.
and they gave him a title now too. So
Yeah,
they're trying enough with Roosh, and they're giving enough chances for Roosh. I think that Roosh and Dralisico probably could convince Tony like, hey, our cousin, yeah, we get it. It's gonna be fine this time. Trust me. But that is a big burned bridge to the betrayal feeling that TK might have. Also having to make sure that like FTR aren't like big bad politickers. Really, they seem to be pretty like if you screw us over or you screw our friends over, we're gonna have a little bit of a problem. But like, there's no bridge that can't be reconstructed for FTR.
hmm
Famously, right after Punk got fired, they immediately at All Out had a tag match where they partnered with the Young Bucks
yeah,
to send a message. So I don't think that is the burned bridge that would have to be reconstructed necessarily. But yeah, I think that it is a major burned bridge.
yeah. And then, so could he go back to New Japan? Maybe. I think that he would work fine there. Obviously, Hiromu's still there. That's a built-in lifetime feud. That's probably his greatest rivalry of his career still to this day. Um, but then also the question is, will their connection to AEW be an issue? I tend to think no. So that's the one place I could see him potentially going if he were to leave. But it's also like, would he leave?
Yeah.
He's not exactly getting. Now, is his career on fire right now in WWE? No, not really. Um, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's gonna leave either, especially after everything he went through just to get there.
Yeah.
So I think it's whether or not they want to keep him.
Yeah, and TC in the chat also mentioned that back when like those that family all got fired from CMLL, like
Yeah,
the Roosh stuff. So that bridge is already that one is going to be hard to reconstruct too. That factor
yeah,
of it. Um, yeah, I think that like how he's been handled by WWE hasn't been ideal for fans of Dragon Lee.
hmm
But he's not. I don't think that he's being. I don't think that they're burying him or anything like that in WWE. I would point out that like he was the first possibly of a wave of signings that they did where they gave them a higher guaranteed money than the NXT level, and then said go start on NXT, get yourself established in WWE, and then we will bring you to main roster quickly. And that was like their way of attracting people that were in the AEW orbit, or possibly could have gone to AEW. You know,
Julia might be that.
Julie was
Although
that.
Julia's a different situation,
But
just with
yeah,
marital
with the
tie.
Marigold, tie in there. But Jordan Grace was
Yep.
that. So I think that like that says that at least initially they were dedicated to let's try something with Dragon Lee. Let's try something here because we need to prove to him that this was the right option. Um, I don't know if that continues on a new contract, but if he feels like he's not been treated poorly, which I don't think he's been treated poorly. And if he doesn't feel like he has many options outside of WWE, then yeah, I could see him resigning. Yeah, that's why I think remote is a good place for Dragon Lee.
Yeah, that's where I put him as well.
Yeah. So with that, was there anything else that you wanted to chat about this week, Mr. Dr. Doug?
I think I'm all right. I think we hit on everything we need to hit on. I think the important things are just going to be seeing. I think this year,
Yeah.
as we now see TKO more so than we've seen before, really taking a look at way to maximize the amount of money they can get out of this company by spending as little money as possible. Just seeing the direction that they take this. I'm curious to see how this WrestlePalooza going against All Out works.
Yeah.
We'll find that out. I unfortunately am not going to be able to watch that show live because I'm going to my cousin's wedding on Saturday, so I will have to watch that after the fact. But I'm curious to see, maybe I don't know. I'm curious how this HBO Max launch is going to work too. That's the other aspect.
Well, it seems like,
And
yeah, it seems like that they're advertising it pretty well, at least.
yeah, I mean it'll be, and then on top, then the other thing is this ESPN new app, the way they're doing it. I don't think they've done a good job of explaining how this actually works, this new system.
Yeah.
I think some people think they have it
Yeah.
and they don't. I think there's a lot of people that think ESPN Plus and this is the same thing.
Yep.
And I think it's going to be the day of, and suddenly people are going to realize, oh wait, I don't have this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I get from a business standpoint why ESPN has done all this the way they have, which is first off, we're calling it ESPN because
yeah,
it's ESPN. Makes sense, right? But you already had a product called ESPN Plus, and you have Disney Plus, so it makes it sound like, well, that should be the name of it, right? You should have just pushed everything on ESPN Plus into being this, and now it's renamed ESPN Plus to like Extra or something
yeah.
like add-on or something like that. Um, but I also understand why they I lost my thought. But yeah, I understand. Oh, with the cable broadcasters, why ESPN is being piecemeal about it. It's because they want to guarantee the fees that they're getting from these cable broadcasters. It's like this is a perk now of signing up for a cable package. It's essentially bundling through your cable provider. So like if you have Cox or Xfinity cable, now this is a region to get that instead of getting YouTube TV. It's like, well, you could get ESPN Direct through that. You can get the WWE PLEs by having a cable subscription.
I also think that I get that, and I also think that it could be. This is also a detriment for I think it's going to speed up the death of cable too, because I think a lot of people, the only reason they have cable
is
because, and they want to have ESPN, and that was always said like that was the big block. And now, if you're someone who has ESPN, like here, I'll give you I'm this person. I don't have cable. I've had Sling for a long time, but I also have Hulu and I had Disney Plus before.
Yeah.
And I had that Hulu, Disney Plus, ESPN Plus bundle that was $26. Now I could pay $29 to get all three and this new ESPN thing. And now suddenly I have ESPN for an extra $3.
Yeah, no, yeah. I was the same way. Like I had Sling for specifically ESPN and TNT.
Yeah.
And I already had HBO Max and I already had ESPN Plus.
Mm-hmm.
So when TNT started, streaming stuff on HBO Max, with sports, I was like, cool. So like, that's one tick against Sling. And then when like the venue stuff first was the first foray into this concept with ESPN, and then now it's just ESPN Direct. It's like, I don't need Sling.
I'm still paying for Sling, and I don't know why. Because I probably should just cancel it.
It's actually it would cost less for me just to pay for ESPN than it would for Sling, because like it's just like the $10 extra for all these channels that I don't watch.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I genuinely, I still use Sling for when I watch Dynamite.
uh-huh.
I don't need to, obviously.
Yeah, if you have HBO Max, you don't need to.
Right. So it's like, I don't know why. I'll probably, I mean, the only thing is like, hey, I get to see the picture-in-picture with I don't actually pay attention to anyway.
Yeah, yeah. So also from my perspective, also so like my interaction with WWE PLEs normally has been because I have Peacock, I might as well watch them, like a day after, so that like I can skip through the ads.
Mm-hmm.
Then it becomes like a leisurely 90 minutes roundabout of time of commitment. And like, I already have Peacock through my cable or through my internet, so it's like I'm not paying anything extra to watch these things, right? And that's probably a lot of people who are just like, well, I'm already getting it for free, essentially. But they're fans of WWE too, so it's like cool. So like this is a reason why I have this subscription. You know, this is why I have it this way. You know, um, but like yeah, I'm going to be intrigued to see how many people are signing up for ESPN just for WWE PLEs because I can't imagine it's many people. Like I have to imagine like the people signing up for ESPN are people that like sports.
Yeah.
You know, so
Well, and it's also and it's weird because it's like and we talk about this with all these companies just losing billions and billions of dollars on this thing. Nobody's making any money except the people who are actually creating the content. The actual
yeah.
streamers themselves are just constantly going in this race to the bottom so it's eventually something's going to give. So I don't know what.
Although I would mention that something interesting came out with all this Warner Brothers Paramount business about Paramount potentially wanting to put an offer to buy all of Warner Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
It came out that David Zaslav was made a comment saying he thinks that their bid will be too low because Warner Brothers is allegedly debt free.
I don't know how the regulators are going to allow that.
Well, that's the other factor, but like I mean, it's Trump's FTC, so
right. But I mean, you're right. So it'll probably happen,
yeah.
but it's crazy because this is debt that's existed since the AOL merger.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like debt from the AOL merger onward through the AT&T bought Warner Brothers and then spun it off and gave them the debt, and then debt from buying Discovery.
Yeah.
And now they're saying Zaslav's saying they're debt free. So like all these rumors about like, oh yeah, they're gonna spin off the TV assets and then give them all the debt, and then they're gonna give them a percentage of HBO Max or the new Warner company, and then they can sell that new Warner share off to pay off the debt. No, they just don't have debt. Somehow.
Well, are they going to dump the cable channels with the debt and just make that? Hey,
well, that was
this is a new.
That was the original theory that people had, but now it's come out that they just don't have debt.
It's okay.
Yeah, so like any of these offers now, it's just like, why are we going to take a low bid offer when it's like all we're trying to do here is just spin off this company that is not making as much profit as this other part of their company.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can also give them a little portion of the company to sell off themselves so that they have a little float of money on top. Like that's like, or they can sell the new Discovery off to another company itself. You know, they could just get rid of it and make money off of that. Like there's so many options for Warner Brothers with all that they don't need to sell the entire company off. So that's the interesting thing for me with the streaming stuff is that somehow Palpatine returns. Somehow HBO is making it work. And I think that the ESPN thing might make it work for Disney. Because they're getting guaranteed money now, direct to themselves. They're not having a middleman anymore, you know? So, anyway, we've talked a little bit too much now on our saying our goodbyes. So, thank you everyone for listening to this week's episode of WrestleWatch. If you're not already subscribed to us on YouTube, Twitter, Bluesky, Substack, please subscribe to us there. If you subscribe to us on Substack, you can put in submissions of nominations for our weekly WrestleWatch tracker. I'm going to be on in a few hours again with our good friend Luke. We're doing a fantasy draft here on the channel, where we're going to, one of us is going to be WWE and the other of us AEW, and we're going to do a fantasy draft of the rosters. So tune in at 4 p.m. for that. Anything else from you, Doug?
I think I'm good. I think we hit on everything we need to hit on as usual.
Well, if you have nothing else to say, I hope everybody has a wonderful day wherever you're listening to this.